This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by TouringPlans.com. And hey, we all know how much Touring Plans is awesome for Walt Disney World, but did you know that TouringPlans.com now offers the same great services for Disneyland? That's right. So you can get the touring plans for Disneyland, which you can get at Walt Disney World, obviously, but also you get lines, you can get the crowd calendar, all the great stuff that we love about Walt Disney World. We can also get at Disneyland, and TouringPlans.com now features 10% more Fred Hazelton. How cool is that?
Woo! Now remember, that's 10% because of the metric conversion.
That's right.
It's only 2.54 Freds in meters.
It'd only be 5% more Henry if we had translated back out to America. Henry! Be sure to check us out online at touringplans.com.
Bringing the world to your world, this is Walt Disney World Today. Here are Mike Scopa, Len Testa, Mike Newell, and your host, Matt Hochberg.
It's Monday, February 21st, 2011, and this is episode 841 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hochberg of StudiosCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Len Testa, co-author of The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Len, if I'm correct, today is President's Day in the United States, and that means we celebrate the birthdays of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, otherwise known as Mike Scopa's childhood friends.
Exactly. Scopa and pals.
Also joining us on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome to the show, Mike.
For the record, Mike, I'm offended that they're going to keep teasing you like this after so many years.
Also joining us on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for alleears.net. Welcome, Mike.
Let's not try to look like a bunch of tourists. This isn't rocket science, people.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Timekeeper?
Nope. Let's not try to look like a bunch of tourists.
Cranium
This isn't
Command.
rocket science,
Oh, it's
people.
Cranium Command.
Ah, the impression works. Yes.
On today's show, we're going to be talking about the best and worst places to sit on a ride or attraction throughout Walt Disney World. Obviously, while cast members will tell you that every seat is great, I think we all know that perhaps there are some seats that are more great than others, and less great for that matter. So, with that being said, there's always going to be people's opinions. It's a little subjective matter, but I think we can come to some sort of consensus as to which areas and which rides we think are best. So, you know what? It's Mike Newell. Let's have you start things off. You pick a ride or an attraction, whatever it may be, and you tell us where you think the best or worst seat might be for that ride in your experience.
I'm going to start off with Expedition Everest.
Oh,
Because it can vary so much.
So where do you like sitting in Expedition Everest, Mike?
I like the middle to the back. I think
Why?
you get more of a sensation in the back than you do in the front, and I think it's more intense in the back than it is in the middle even. I don't know if that's a physics thing, or to me it always seems like it's more intense in the back.
What do you think, Len?
I agree. I think most roller coasters are better in the back, but I think the reason is slightly different. When you're going up a lift hill, if you're in the front, you're waiting until the last car gets over the hump to go down the hill. Whereas if you're the last car, you never wait for anything.
That's true. I always feel like although I feel like on Big Thunder Mountain, the issue with that is that I always feel like when you're in the last car, like, I guess it's bad for the front car goes, if you picture the hill, the front car is going over, but the front car can't really start to pick up any speed until the last car.
That's what I just said. You're right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
the front car is like, you're halfway down the
It's
hill.
dangling.
almost.
Exactly. You get more speed.
Yeah, I remember riding in the front one time in Big Thunder and thinking to myself, man, are we going to go soon? Because we're almost down this hill.
I did. On the last trip in January, I rode Big Thunder 11 times in a row, and that's one of the things that I picked up because I was riding in all different places. Tried the front, tried the middle, tried the back. I think the back is much better. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, Big Thunder doesn't have huge hills, so it's not like it's a big roller coaster. Perhaps there's less of a noticeable difference, but I think on Big Thunder you definitely notice that right away.
Yeah, I think so.
Scopa, we were originally talking about Everest. What was your thoughts on Everest?
Well, the thing is, I think we need to. I mean, even though we can't really say a roller coaster is a roller coaster in Walt Disney World. They all are a little bit different. On Everest, I've ridden up front about 2 or 3 times, and then probably 2 or 3 times maybe in the middle. I don't think I've ever ridden at the end. I think Everest is one of those where I think up front's kind of cool because you're getting to where the track is torn apart, and then you're backing up, and then you're coming out of the tunnel first and everything, and there's nobody in front of you when you're looking at the track. So I think for Everest, probably the front, I think, is more intense. It's a matter of opinion, but I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I generally agree with you, Mike. I think generally speaking, the front is usually more intense on most roller coasters. But for me, I don't know. I guess I don't have the patience for it. I just never really bother waiting in line because usually the front line has a longer line than somewhere else. And to me, I don't mind sitting in the second or third car if I get to ride, 5 or 10 minutes before someone else.
Well,
you make
for Everest, no, Everest is the one attraction where I would actually wait.
Really?
Yeah,
people
definitely.
may not know that. They may not know that you can do that. That you can ask to.
Because the one ride that I would think would be worth is Rock and Roller Coaster for the front. That one I can definitely tell the difference. Other rides, it's like, okay, it's nice.
Yes, that's a lot of fun too. Right.
Sorry, Scope, we cut you off there. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say a lot of people listening may not realize that you can ask to be in the front queue.
Yeah, you can ask for almost any ride. Now that you mention it, Mike, I think you can pretty much ask the cast member, I'd like to sit here. Now, you may have to wait longer, but I can't really think of an attraction where there's different seating where you couldn't ask, other than maybe like, a stage, like a show like Muppet Vision. Like, it's kind of like, well, you have to get the seat, sir. We can't do anything for you. But, on any kind of ride, right? Is there any ride that you can think of where you couldn't have the cast member, help you get that seat?
Where you can't sit up front. Dumbo?
It's quite an option. But anyway, that is a good tip. But let's talk about Rock and Roller Coaster real quick. I think that one really makes a big difference in front because, for the same reason, I forget who was it, Newell said it. When you're in front, there's nothing in front of you. And the sensation, it makes a huge difference in that one because you're shot out really quick. And to me, I always feel like the ride is way more intense in the first row than any other row in the on the ride. Although the back row, the very, very, very last row, I think is pretty cool as well. Partially because you get to see the whole train in front of you, which is kind of a neat effect.
Yeah, it's kind of spooky. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're running the inversions and stuff. What's another ride, Lon?
Another ride with a different front and back. I like
anything. Doesn't matter. Whatever seats.
Great movie ride. I like being up front.
Yes, I agree. Go ahead, Lon.
So a couple of reasons. One is, frankly, you can hear the host better when you're up front. But when you're transitioning into the scenes, especially going through the first few scenes, the timing of the attraction is better if you're up front. And I'm thinking specifically of the Aliens scene.
Yes.
Where if you're in the back of the car, or God forbid if you're in the second car, you've already seen what the effect is.
Yeah.
And it's not really that scary or suspenseful to you.
Yeah, I would say actually the back second car, especially of the Great Movie Ride, is actually a bad place to be for that exact reason, because you hear the spiel you're hearing might be for the gangster scene, but you're still stuck in Mary Poppins.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, is this the underworld? It's like, no, that's Dick Van Dyke, I think.
Wait a second. What movie was this? What movie did it go bad? I mean, I know he hit some hard times in the 70s, but Dick Van Dyke was a gangster? What? What? What's the Wicked Witch doing in Casablanca? What?
So yeah, definitely you want to avoid that back car. Even if you've ridden it 1,000 times before, I'd still say at least just shoot for that first car, just because the narration will line up better.
Yeah, I think so. You want to be in the first few seats if you can. I think, let's see, what else is in the studios? Tower of Terror. Tower of Terror, you want to be up front.
Yeah, I think the first row.
First row, Tower of Terror. Although because it's theater seating. The second row isn't bad, but the first row is just so much better.
Although it is, if you're interested in a good photo, I'd say the first row is best. Back row is not bad. I think just that middle row is bad. You get like drowned out with the people behind you or in front of you.
Yeah, because people behind you could be like leaning over, or people ahead of you could be standing up. It's just too much stuff to go wrong.
Right, and that's definitely, again, when you can ask. You might have to wait a little longer, but you could say, hey, I want to ride in the first row or something like that. And then they'll definitely accommodate you. Anything else in the studios that we can think of? Any other rides?
Well, one comes to mind. It's kind of funny, but I always think of, if I go to the Muppets, I want to be about 10 rows back. I don't want to be up front because I get a better 3D effect if I'm like 10 rows back instead of up front.
Yeah, I agree with that. Noel, what do you think about that? We're sitting in Muppets Vision.
Yeah, I mean, lately it's been so it hasn't been so crowded, so you really get a choice. So last few times I've ridden it, I've been, just like Mike said, about 10 to 15 rows in the center. And to me, that's
Yes.
that's a pristine spot.
Speaking of seating for lights, motors, action, one of the things the cast members say, "Oh, go up the stadium for a better view," and usually it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. That's because we're late. But truthfully, I really do believe that it's a better vantage point if you're about 2/3 of the way up the in the stadium seatings. You get a much better perspective on all the action going on during the stunt scenes. Don't snore and then say like,
It's one of those attractions where okay.
One of the attractions I think where you want to be in the middle, right? We've talked about where it's going to be in the front, where it's going to be back. Where you want to be in the middle is Mickey's PhilharMagic.
Yeah.
If you're up close, you miss all the effects that happen around on the sides. Like when they convert over to the Lion King scene and the extra screens are visible.
right?
But if you're in the back, you lose some of the effects of the 3D. It just doesn't take up enough of your vision to be as immersive. You definitely want to be in the middle, right? So middle row, middle theater for Mickey's PhilharMagic.
Same thing for Star Tours?
Whoever goes on Star Tours.
I was
Nah.
going to say.
I don't know, Matt. What have you heard about that? I mean, are they going to be the same sort of seating configuration for 2.0 when it comes out?
Yeah, it's gonna be. From what I understand, it's the same simulators. They're just totally like, redoing the screens and the whole experiences. But the actual seating, from what I understand, it's the same simulator. So I wouldn't expect a radical change in terms of the seating arrangement, unless
Are they redoing the ride hydraulics or anything? No, that's not all.
Yes, they're instead of believe in the old version of Star Wars, there was only 4 points of axis of rotate movement, and now there's going to be 6.
Now there's 5.5.
And a random finish, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be totally. From what I understand, I believe I forget who said it was Jay Rasulo. Somebody said that you really won't be able to tell the difference between rides. It's not going to be very similar. It's going to be very, very different in terms of from ride to ride. Oh, here's the quote: "You will rarely, if ever, see the same show twice, and it's all in 3D."
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So looking forward to that. But the seating arrangement, even on the old Star Tours, I always preferred back row. I thought it was a little bit more bumpy, a little more interesting. But I really can't think of it. I've sat on the sides, I've sat in the. I guess middle would just be preferable, but I can't say, if you sit in the sides, you're getting a bad.
Well, Len won't be needing no 3D glasses. You can't see much between your knees, anyways.
No, exactly. I'll be throwing up anyway, so it doesn't matter.
How about Space Mountain? What do you guys think about Space Mountain? Is there any preferable? It's 2 3-seaters in a row, so
Yeah.
3 and then 2 cars basically attached to each other. What do you guys think?
So we said that roller coasters you generally want to be in the front and the back, right? But I think on Space Mountain you want to be in
The
the front.
front, the front 3, anyway. Preferably the front.
I would actually like to be in the front
Yeah.
because the sensation of not knowing where you're going in the dark is much more pronounced up front.
Doesn't the front have the worst legroom of the 3?
No, I think it has the best.
I always thought the back row had.
I always worry about the bucket seats, and you're about the leg room, huh?
I was just.
And it's about the legroom. I hate
Are you in the 4-door or the hatchback?
Are those seats heated too?
Yeah, the seats heated. Is this Corinthian leather?
Should put that in the color companion one.
Are the seats heated? Excuse me, miss. Are these seats heated? That's the next time we go on Space Mountain. That's what I'm going to ask. Excuse me.
How about Pirates of the Caribbean?
Oh, that's a tough one.
left, right, front, back.
Yeah.
I don't think
I
it
don't think it
doesn't
really
matter
matters.
to me.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
How about this one, Splash Mountain? The number one question: where am I going to get the most wet, and where am I going to get the least wet?
You're
What do you
gonna
guys
get
think?
Most wet up front. I don't think there's any doubt there.
To the right, sitting on the right.
Yeah.
Front right is the most wet.
I
'Cause you're
agree.
getting the water cannon from the first or from the second lift hill, and then you're getting that's if you're on the right because the water's coming from your right, and then since you're in the front, you get the huge bow wave when you go down the big hill. You can also get wet on the intermediate hills up front too, just because of the way the water pushes forward, then reverberates back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're going down Slip and Falls, the water that the boat pushes ahead eventually comes back to you, and if you're at the right point with the right rocks next to you on the flume, the rocks actually cause water to splash back into the log. I've been on Splash Mountain a lot.
Let's get back to Animal Kingdom. What about Dinosaur?
It's best not to ride at all.
There's no good seat at all in Dinosaur.
I can't. I mean, my eyes are closed for most of it, but I can't really tell a difference in terms of bumpiness and one seat being better. Have you made an observation, Mike?
I'm just thinking middle seat, a middle row, middle seat probably has the least amount of movement because it's like it's the center of the vehicle. So I think that you get more movement on the outer edges than you would in the middle.
It's probably true. Although I will say that if you sat on the left, you would be furthest away from the dinosaur that screams in your ear at the very end when he pops up from the right.
Yeah.
If it was me, I would sit back row, left side.
With your head between your legs.
Exactly. Although I did ride one time with Lou Mangello's wife, and let me tell you this, I was very comforted on that ride.
Ah, so that's the key.
That's the key. Yeah, get a creditor ride with you.
Good
Okay.
to know.
The other thing with, I want to go back to Splash Mountain really quick. Len, you very, very detailed in your answer about where the wettest, but I would also want to mention that I think the back left is probably the driest seat of Splash Mountain. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely back left, right?
Yep.
Back left.
Back
is
and to the left. Back
yeah,
and to the left.
Back and to the left.
Back and to the left for our JFK.
And how about
Back and to the left.
Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor? Do you guys think there's a better seat one way or another?
Lots of snoring tonight.
Well, let me ask you this: if you wanted to volunteer, have you guys noticed a trend anywhere in terms of where the churro guy gets picked and stuff like that? I always feel like they pick people who sit towards the front.
Front,
agree.
yeah,
Front
front
center.
and then front center, exactly, yeah.
Okay, so if you want to be picked on, you want to be that guy,
That guy.
That guy.
front. All right. How about Mr. Newell? How about you? TTA.
Well, you want to face the way the car is facing. You know,
Oh, by the way, I called the wrong name, Mike. I apologize. It's the TTA People Mover now.
the Tomorrowland Transit Authority people mover.
Right.
Don't cut it
Go ahead,
short
Mike.
now. No, I always like to face, the way you're moving towards. So, if like you're driving almost. So, you don't want to sit with anybody next to you. So you want to have the bench to yourself, facing forward, is the best view.
Yeah. Even if you are going with 3 or 4 people, always ask to split up because you can't put 3 or 4 people in there. But then you're doing the knee thing the entire time, where you're trying to make sure your knees don't touch each other.
And then the people that are facing the wrong way always have to turn around because all the sight gags are not really
Yeah, and then
gags, but the sights are facing forward.
And then you have to talk to people.
I
forget
hate that. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Awful.
Okay. What about Len? What do you think about how about Soren? That's a good one we always get.
Ooh.
Ooh. I think my preference is the rightmost seat in the left side or the leftmost seat on the right side. So as much as I like being in the middle on most rides, most theater style rides, I like being in either the left or right wing, but closest to the center on the top row there. So there's 2 good seats in Soren, and they're on opposite ends.
So you want the center vehicle?
No, I don't want the center vehicle. I want the left or right vehicle, but I want the seat closest to the center on the top.
Why
So
not
imagine-
the center one? Why not?
Because the ones on the left and right move more than the one in the center. You get a better sensation of flying.
Is that right?
Honestly, God, so this is the one. This is where I actually got to ride over and over again.
Tell me you brought a gyroscope on the ride.
Even better, I talked to the Imagineers who designed it. So during the Soren press event, it was me and Yves Ziebart from the Washington Post. We happened to stick around Epcot after everyone had left at like 4:00, but 3 hours before the party. So we were wandering around, and literally we're the only 2 civilians in Epcot. So we wandered over to Soren.
Civilians? Were you at a military installation?
Well, everyone else was Disney employees, right? So we're getting ready for the party. So they were demoing Soren. They were going through like final checks for Soren. We happened to walk in, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to ride?" I'm like, "Sure, we want to ride." So we rode, as many times as we wanted. I lost track of how many times I rode Soren because they literally just let us stay there. And the engineers, the Imagineers, were so happy to have us there that they had us move around to different seats and try the sensation, get the sensation of flights in different seats. And they all agreed. Like the engineers the Imagineers who had designed it said, "Okay, these are the 2 best seats in the house. They move the most, but you still get the best." They move more than average, but you still get a very good view of the center.
That's interesting. Inside information.
It was. Yeah.
That's cool. All right. I think we mentioned this on the show before, but and Living with the Land, I always love that first row because you get ample leg room.
Yeah.
Because the other rows, you're all constricted by the row in front of you, but the front row, for whatever reason, I think it's also that doubles the handicap row. But you can put your feet out. You can really stretch out over there. So that's a nice row to request if you can. Test track. What are you guys' preferences on test track? Where to sit?
Oh, I prefer to sit on the benches outside of the pavilion.
You don't like test track?
It's okay. It's not great. It's just a
Oh,
long night.
come on.
Wow.
I don't think it's the best ride at Disney World, but still fun. What do you think, Noel?
I'm going to say the driver's seat, literally, because
British or American?
American, of course.
Yeah. Front row, I think, is definitely better.
Yeah.
One ride, it has nothing to do with where you sit, but Mission Space, can I just say that if I get the engineer, my ego takes a hit? Because that's just that's the monkey job. What do you do? You just put people into hypersleep.
Yeah, exactly. Good night, everyone.
We need someone to go to Mars to do that? No, you can have the computer take care of that. Yeah, everyone else is like deploy flaps, push the accelerator. No, this guy has to put. So when I get engineer, I just feel bad.
Did you know that when you're sitting there before the launch, if you push the buttons and flip the switches, they actually beep. Some of them chirp, some of them beep.
Oh, that's fun.
I like to set them all to the off position, and then in my head I actually do extra narration on Mission Space where I'm actually saving the ship by myself. Like I'm flipping the switches to put everybody else back into hypersleep. So the narration in my head is actually much more entertaining than the narration during the show.
Isn't that always the case, though?
I probably shouldn't have said that, but anyway.
Nice. Anywhere else in Epcot?
Epcot. Spaceship Earth. Nah, there's nothing left. Actually, I think the left side of Spaceship Earth is more interesting than the right side of Spaceship Earth.
Why do you say that?
There's a lot of times. The next time our listeners, next time you ride Spaceship Earth, just look to the right and tell me how much stuff is there. And then ride it again, but just look to the left and tell me how much stuff is there. There are a lot of instances where you're either looking at completely black walls or you're looking at just painted walls on the right-hand side.
Yeah, until you get to the medieval times, the Renaissance, you're not seeing anything on the right-hand side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the left-hand side is better on Spaceship Earth.
That's true.
I never thought of that before.
Yeah, a lot of thought into that one too. Maelstrom.
Back row, maybe? Because you get closer to the falls when you go over?
Over the falls. Yeah, that's actually probably the more fun. Maelstrom's not that great.
Oh, what are you kidding?
Okay, in the overall scheme of things, it's great.
It's a lot of fun. For what it is, it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fluff, but the kids do. But the kids,
The accent's got to give you a little joke, a little giggle every time.
Yeah,
you are not the first to pass this way.
Nor will you be the last. Anyone for Captain EO? Any experience there?
Probably similar to any other 3D show. Center, halfway through or further.
Sure. All right. Let's wrap it up at Animal Kingdom. We mentioned already Dinosaur. How about the Kilimanjaro Safaris? Where would you guys sit over there?
Ooh.
I don't think I've ever sat in the front row at Kilimanjaro Safaris. Well, you definitely want to be on the sides, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you think you want to be do you want to be on the right side?
If you're on the right side, you're not going to see... You'll see the elephants. No. When you really go past the elephants, that's on the left side. The elephants are on the left side.
Lions, too, right?
Lions are on the left side.
Yeah. I guess the left side is where you want to go.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right, Mike. Yeah. Do you think there's a difference between front or back, Scopa?
The only thing is that if you're up front, when the driver is talking about this animal and that animal, you're right there. It's almost like being in the Great Movie Ride. Same thing we're saying if you're in the back,
right.
By the time you're passing the penguins, he's already talking about the lions, and so you want to, she, I should say, whoa. And that's the only thing, if you've got these long vehicles that you have, although I guess in Kilimanjaro Safaris, it's not as bad as the Great Movie Ride, but still, you like to be as close as possible to the driver because then you're in sync with them.
Right.
So,
hey, Len, how about your favorite ride in the whole world, Primeval Whirl?
Yeah, you actually get much more force if you're on either end, so the far left or far right. You don't feel this force as much when you're spinning around in the middle.
Is that like the principles of like centrifugal force?
Exactly. I don't know. See, I was debating this. Is it centrifugal or centripetal force?
I would thought it was centrifugal.
Well, there's two forces, right? But one is slightly different than the other. I don't know which one it is. Centrifugal, centripetal.
I just believe in the force, Len.
That's right. Regardless, it's the force.
It's
right?
the force. That's right. I always hear Obi-Wan in my mind. Use the force, man.
Exactly.
Oh, I forgot about that. I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice. That's a good point, though, because even on that ride, there is a difference between left and right.
You know, for someone who snores all the time, we talk about Star Wars. You got all the toys.
And now we can talk about Star Wars now, Newell.
Yeah.
He's got his little toy to play with the entire time.
So what are you looking?
Okay, so what about the Jungle Cruise?
So what are you looking forward to most about Star Tours 2.0, Matt?
What I wanted to mention also in Animal Kingdom, Finding Nemo the musical. I would actually say you want to be in the. There's two. If you look down at the seating chart, there's one section towards the stage, and there's a section in the back. I would actually say the back, only because at certain points during the show, performers come out in the middle of the show into like the audience, like the walking areas. And if you're in the back section, you don't have to turn your head or anything. You can see everything dead on. So you can be in the front of the back section. That's my favorite place to sit.
I agree.
Anything that we missed? Can you guys think of anywhere else that we haven't mentioned?
Carousel of Progress.
I would actually say for the Carousel of Progress, since even if you, regardless if you've seen it a lot or not, I would say the front just because you get to see more detail, I feel.
Yeah. And plus, when you're stuck there like 6 or 7 times, you can actually jump up on stage and sing along.
Just saying.
Let's do the Carousel of Progress.
Shh, you're giving away all our secrets.
I'm trying to think if there's any seats I really try to avoid, if I can. I will say that when I'm on outside the parks on the parking trams, I prefer to be on the as close to if I want to be on the side that lets out. So like in this, usually it's the right side. The reason for that is because when you pull up to the parking area, if I'm on the right, I can be the one who gets out. I don't have to wait for anyone else. If I'm on the left side of the parking tram, I think it's generally the left side. You have to wait for other people to go, and most tourists, they're like, "Oh, which side do we get off at? Does the doors open by themselves?" So that's my own little impatience there. But if you don't want to be waiting for someone, right side of the parking tram. Len, anything else that we missed?
Walt Disney World Railroad.
What about the railroad? Let's go. Well, let's end on the railroad. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, where do you see more stuff, left or right?
I want to say right.
I wanted to say right too, but I can't think of why.
Well, the Pocahontas scene is on the right.
Yeah, friendly natives.
The whole park is always on your right.
Yeah, okay.
Well, he's right.
you know that thing they call the Magic Kingdom. I hear it's popular. It's on your right.
Maybe they're right because you get to see. You're closer to Big Thunder when you're riding by Big Thunder.
Yeah, pretty much the fact that the Magic Kingdom is on your right-hand side is pretty indicative of which side you should be sitting on.
Yeah, considering it's a circle and it's the outer rim of the Magic Kingdom, you kind of want.
Well, there's regardless of where you sit. I want to remind all of our listeners that touringplans.com is going to be your guide to helping you navigate each and every Walt Disney World theme park and Disneyland for that matter. So while you're figuring out where you want to send each ride, it'll also the touringplans.com will give you the tools and information you need so that you can be able to experience any of those rides and have very short amounts of waits. Thus, you can focus on just figuring out, do I sit on the right side or the left side, back, front. Regardless, you'll get there with less wait. Try touringplans.com right now at, touringplans.com. Don't forget our next live show is on Sunday, February 27th at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll have special guest Deb Wills from allears.net. Woo! Big celebrity. So join us on Sunday, February 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern. That'll do it for us today. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, you can visit us online at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.